Hello folks, this is Sula speaking. You're listening to another video for Teamfight Tactics. This is footage from the latest set revival. This is a revival of set 4.5. And like the previous set revivals, we earlier had a revival for set 3 and then set 5. It's an interesting way to look back at a past set coming to life again. There's actually a lot of differences between this and the original set 4. It's kind of fun to see some of this other stuff. I do wish that the set was a little bit more balanced, but we're going to go ahead and look at some gameplay footage from this mode. It's going to be around for the next few weeks on the live client. Get a chance to experience some of the set 4 gameplay and talk a little bit about what is different here in the set revival. So set 4 was one of the first sets that I played of Teamfight Tactics. I have actually played every single set going back to the original one in set 1, but I didn't play a lot of set 1. I did play a decent amount of set 2, and then I didn't play a whole lot of set 3. I did play quite a bit of set 4, and it's actually was one of my favorite sets. This is unfortunately set 4.5, not set 4, the second half of the set, which I think is definitely weaker than the original part of the set. I'm a little disappointed that they chose to bring back the second half of the set. I actually wrote pretty extensively on my website why I felt that the first half of the set was significantly better designed, and that's been true of most of the sets. When they had the half sets, the second half of the set would be worse because usually the sets were designed with the first half of the set in mind, and then they kind of would like tack on the second half and go from there. All right, in any case though, so here we go. The biggest thing in this set is we have the Chosen back again, and we can still call it the Chosen mechanic because it officially is the Chosen mechanic, not the Headliner mechanic. This is the mechanic that was around in set 4 and set 10, whereby you will see 2-star versions of units in the shop, and they will have one of their traits doubled. I have picked up a Garen, and he is going to have the Vanguard trait doubled. His traits are Vanguard and Warlord. We are also going to have augments. So right here, we're going to get an augment out of the gate, and I see this. I see that there's an assassin crest here. Now, I am not currently set up to play an assassin board at all, but assassins are pretty strong in this version of the gameplay. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to pivot here, and I'm going to go into playing assassins. I don't really have the setup for it, but I'm going to adjust my setup because with this, I can get +1 assassin, and I'm just going to look to build out my team comp from there. As I said, I was originally going to try to play into Fated Nico, which is a completely different build because I had that early Nico, but now I'm going to head in a different direction. We also had a Tahm Kench encounter at the start of this game. The encounters are basically carried over from the live client as well. This one is essentially the 2-component anvils start. Everybody starts with 2-component anvils, and I now need to pull these anvils and figure out what I want to do with them. I think if I had to do this again, I would probably take either the tier or the glove here. I can't remember what I actually take. I believe I take the belt here, and that's actually not the item you want when you're playing assassins because you really want offensive items, and that the belt is not that. And then here I'm going to take the sword. I mean, the sword is an easy option to pick up, but gloves are good because they build into items with critical strike chance, which is always good on assassins, and the tier would have been decent because I could have built a Hand of Justice, which is a pretty good item on assassins. Again, because it has critical strike chance. Now, I'll talk more about the assassins as this game goes on, but I did want to cover some of the more general aspects of playing here in this set. So as I said, big thing is we have the Chosen mechanic come back again. The rules for the Chosen mechanic are basically what they were when they were brought back in set 10, when they were headliners officially. By the way, you see I have Assassin Nidalee, and I'm going to put the Teemo in, which is pretty hilarious here. But they're essentially the same mechanics as that. If you do not have a Chosen on your board, you will see one every single time you refresh the shop. If you do have one on your board, you will get one every 4 shops. And there's a whole bunch of like soft tailoring in terms of which Chosen units show up. So for example, I have a Garen right here. If I were to sell this Garen and start re-rolling the shop, I wouldn't see another Garen for a little while. You have to go through, I think, like 7 or 8 champions before Garen can pop up again. And if Garen does pop up again, because this was a Vanguard Garen, the next one would be a Warlord Garen. That's guaranteed in terms of what would pop up. The cost tier of what can show up as a Chosen has its own rules. It depends on what level you are. Here at level 4, the Chosen will always be either 1 or 2 costs. I believe that it is something like 80% odds to get a 1-cost Chosen, and then 20% odds to get a 2-cost Chosen when you're level 4. And then that changes as you go up in levels. From what I remember, you can't get a 3-cost Chosen until you're level 6, and you can't get a 4-cost Chosen until you're level 8. And 5-cost Chosen, I believe that has like 1% odds or 2% odds at level 9, and then they go up to like 90% at level 10. So those are like the main things to keep in mind is level 3 Chosen, you can't get to level 6, 4-cost Chosen you can't get until level 8. Again, that's all carried over from set 10. By the way, Assassin Nidalee got off one of her spears and one-shotted the back line there, which was pretty hilarious. So anyway, I've been kind of fooling around with these assassins and going from there. Other things that carried over, I mentioned we start with an encounter. Encounters did not exist back in set 4, so that's a completely different mechanic. And in addition to that, we of course have augments, and they also did not exist in set 4. So part of the reason why I said that this like brings back the champions from set 4, but like it's kind of not set 4 because we have encounters, which didn't exist back then. We have augments, which didn't exist back then. We have very different rules about how the Chosen units function. And on top of that, a bunch of the items are different too. There's a whole bunch of items that existed back in set 4, and they do not exist anymore because all of the items have been carried over here from the live clients. By the way, I'm last pick here, and there's really nothing that I want on this carousel, which is a bit disappointing there. So like I said, a whole bunch of changes here that are definitely different from what you might be used to in terms of what exists on the live client. All right, so I end up selling the Nidalee. I believe this is actually too early. I think I should have kept the Nidalee a little while longer because while I'm able to put Diana on the board, I was thinking for some reason that if I put Diana on the board, I could get up to 4 assassins, but I actually need another assassin to do that. So that's actually not really going to do that whole much, and I feel like I weakened my board decently. Part of the problem for that is Nidalee was holding Infinity Edge, which is a really good assassin item, but only on assassins that deal physical damage. As it turns out, almost all these units deal magic damage, which is kind of like a whoops, and that was partly me not really remembering how some of these units worked. So like Diana's a 1-cost assassin, she deals magic damage. Teemo is not an assassin, but I've given him Assassin Emblem, he deals magic damage. And who's my other assassin? Pyke. Pyke, I believe, also deals magic damage as well, but Pyke is really a utility unit. He really doesn't do much in the way of damage. Pyke's big thing is he dashes across the board and stuns people. I believe his damage is magic damage. Let me just double check on that. Yes, his ability is magic damage. So like, I have put the Infinity Edge on him, and now the Titan's Resolve on him because he's my only 2-star assassin. But like, my items are really gimp tier, and this is not what I want at all. I would have done better just to keep the Nidalee on the board for the time being because she actually does deal physical damage, and she could toss spears that crit for huge amounts of damage. And she would make much better use of the Infinity Edge, and she also made Sharpshooter trait with the Teemo. So I definitely weakened my board by doing that. So that was a little bit silly in terms of what I was doing there. But oh well. This was actually, I think, the second game I had done on the set revival, so it does always take a little while to get back into the habits of playing this stuff again. Still, I know what I want to do. I'm going to use this Assassin Emblem. If I can get the Assassin Emblem and an Assassin Chosen, that is +1 to the Assassin trait, that'll actually let me play 6 Assassins, which is going to be very strong here in this build. All right, now, what do these traits actually do? Well, we've got a chance here. Assassin trait was in all the early sets, but it hasn't been in a set since, I believe, set 7 was the last one that had this. Or maybe it was set 8 was the last one that had... I think set 7 was the last one that had Assassin trait in it. So it was in every early set, but then has not been present in the set since then. So it's 2 things. Innate leap to the back line when combat starts. So they always jump to the back line. And then Assassin's abilities can critically strike. They gain bonus critical strike chance and bonus critical damage. And that was the same in every single one of the early sets. Assassins were, they make positioning really important because Assassins are very fragile units. The whole notion behind the Assassins is they want to dive on your carries and kill your carries at the start of the fight because they get to bypass the front line, but they're very, very squishy units. Like, they don't stand up. They can't really take damage. They deal a lot of damage, but they can't take a lot of damage. And part of the reason why they were really frustrating is you'd often have these games where like one person in the lobby is playing assassins, and in order to protect your carries, you have to like box them up in the corner to keep assassins from jumping up on them. But like you don't know if you're going to hit the assassin player in the lobby or not until you actually, you only have like 1 in 3 odds to hit that assassin player. So you just like have to guess as far as whether you hit the assassin unit or not. And if you guess wrong, then you lose the fight. But if you guess right, you can also lose the fight. Anyway, it was just a frustrating mechanic. And I'm kind of glad that they took assassins out of the game. So even though I'm playing them here, I don't really like assassins very much. I was actually able to win streak all the way through stage 2, which I don't think I should have been able to do because my board is really not that strong. I'm like on 3 assassins, 3 spirit. I had this Garen just standing around tanking, and like my units have really wonky items that are not a good fit. So I don't know. This probably isn't the toughest lobby because I don't know what the matchmaking is like for this. But yeah, I probably should not have been winning this. But so far so good. If I can preserve health, that's all to the good. This person's board is only level 4 and I'm level 6. So that's pretty nice. You're also going to see a ton of people playing Cultist in this lobby. Cultist is the trait from this set that summons a unit on the board, which is Galio, and like for some reason 4 different people all decided to play Cultist in this lobby, which is pretty wild. But I am going to be playing through Assassin and through Spirit trait. I'll talk more about Spirit in a minute. Now we have our second augment here. It's definitely not Little Buddies because I'm not going to play enough 4 and 5 cost units. I did think about Trifecta because I am going to be playing some 3 cost champs. But then I see this Piercing Lotus. Your team gains 5% critical strike chance and their abilities can critically strike. Critical strikes, Armor Shred and Magic Shred. I think the technical terms are Sunder and Shred by 20% for 3 seconds. So this is one that has a lot of synergy with playing Assassins. You might immediately think, wait a minute, why would you want this Piercing Lotus if you're playing Assassins? Remember, Assassin trait lets your units critically strike, and the Lotus augment I picked, Piercing Lotus, also lets your abilities critically strike. So I'm doubling up on a secondary property of something that I already do anyway. So you might be like, why in the heck would you even want this? Well, the reason why this is good is it gives another 5% critical strike chance on top of what the assassins are already getting. And the really critical thing is, if an ability crits, it has that armor shred and magic resistant shred, which is really, really valuable to have in a situation like this. Because my units are going to be critting like crazy, and they're going to get all kinds of armor and MR shred. By the way, I probably would have won this fight, except that Pyke jumped on top of the Callista and then dashed away, so he did not kill the Callista, and then she killed everything. But, Assassin, if I can get Assassin 6 in, that's 50% critical strike chance, or like a bonus 50% critical strike chance. I believe units innately have 25% odds to crit, and then that adds a 50%. That gets them to 75%. And then I get another 5% from my augment. That takes them to 80% crit chance, and that's without any items at all. So any items that give them crit chance just take that up to 100%. And then their ability cast will Armor Shred and Magic Resistant Shred. So I don't have to build Armor Shred or MR Shred on my board because pretty much every single ability cast is going to Armor and MR Shred. And then notice Assassin trait. Assassin 6 is not only 50% critical strike chance, it's 90% higher critical strike damage as well. So anything that gives me extra crit chance is extremely valuable on a board like this, and the fact that it armor and MR shreds on top of that is even better. So it's like a little bit of an odd choice, but it actually works really well for this setup because like I'm going to be critting like crazy, and as I said, armor and MR shredding at the same time. So that's going to be pretty valuable. Anyway, it was sad to see my win streak come to an end, but as I probably shouldn't have been win streaking to begin with, so I can't be too upset with that. It does mean I'm going to have last pick, though, and that means I'm going to have to get some leftover item. Again, you really do not want defensive items with assassins. You can deal with some of them, like a cloak plus a sword is Bloodthirster, a belt with plus a sword is a Sterix. A vest plus a bow can be Titans, which is not bad, but like none of this is the stuff I want. I was like, oh my god, well I guess I'll go ahead and take this vest. Like normally in a normal game I would make a Sunfire Cape here, I would make a Gargoyle Stone Plate, but like you don't want tank items when you're playing assassins. And look, I have a belt, a vest, and 2 cloaks. I was like, oh my god, if I could get Pandora's items, I would seriously think about taking it here just so I could reroll these items. Anyway, I'm like, I mean, I guess I could do like Ionic Spark maybe, but I was like, that's one of the biggest things holding me back here is these items just don't really work for my team, unfortunately. So assassins are somewhat dependent on getting the right items. On your AD units, the main one of which is Talon, who's the 4-cost assassin, you really want Infinity Edge, Edge of Night, Bloodthirster, all of these are good items. On your magic damage casters, which are units like Akali and Katarina, you would want things like Jeweled Gauntlet is always going to be good on assassins because it plays into their critical strike chance. But you could also do things like, of course, you could do Death Cap for more damage. You could do Gunblade, although that's not as good for this kind of setup. I mean, Katarina really likes getting a Morelos because she has area of effect damage, but like, yeah, like a Dragon's Claw or a Sunfire Cape, these are not items that I would want to get. So I'm getting a little trolled on my items, but it's also partly because I'm picking last on all these carousels. I've also had a really rough stage 3 here in terms of like seeing champions. I need to get up to level 7 because on level 7, I'm going to sell my Garen Chosen and then find a new one. Remember, on level 7, I have good odds to see the 3-cost Chosens. Now, you can see a 3-cost Chosen on level 6, but the odds are low. I think you only have like 20. I don't have the odds in front of me, but I think you only have like 25% odds to see them. Whereas it's like 25 or 30%. Whereas when you get to level 7, you have very good odds to see the 3-cost Chosens. So anyway, I'm going to go to level 7. I'm going to sell Garen, and then I'm going to try to find an Assassin Chosen. And it needs to be one of the 3-costs. But the good news is there's 2 different 3-cost assassins at that tier. I have Akali, who will, by the way, always roll Assassin as her chosen trait because her other trait's Ninja, and that can never be taken as a chosen trait. And the other one is Katarina, and either one of them would fit, but it's much more likely I'll get an Akali one because Katarina actually has 3 different traits, and any of those could be doubled. You could have Warlord trait doubled, Fortune trait doubled, or Assassin trait doubled. So I'm kind of thinking that I'm going to get an Akali chosen here. And the plan was I would probably have to sell the Shen when that happened. But anyway, Garen off the board. Now I will see a Chosen on every single shot refresh. And I'm going to do my best to find an Assassin Chosen is what I need here. It has to be an Assassin Chosen. You see Zed there, and I always want to think that Zed's an Assassin, but he's actually not. He's a Slayer in this set. He's actually really overtuned here in the set revival too. He's definitely stronger than he should be for whatever reason, because reroll Zed is pretty popular. But yeah, I need to find an assassin here, because with the emblem plus the an assassin chosen, I can play 6 assassins on level 7. I don't have to go to level 8 for that. And then I find this, I find a Zillion. I was like, okay, well, I'll play the Zillion. He's really overpowered. He's a 5-cost Mystic unit. Has a really overpowered ability we'll talk about as this goes on. I also thought about that that chosen, what's his name? What's the name of the unit? The Kindred. But I had to pass on that because it wasn't an assassin chosen. But now I get the Katarina, and I'm very happy to play her. So I'm going to keep looking here. And now I just need to find an Akali or a Talon. Talon would work as well, but I need to find an Akali here so I can get up to the 6 assassin, which is the big spike. I also have like a billion items on my bench. I need to figure out what the heck I'm going to do with all of these. And I can also shift some of these items around as well. I'm definitely going to make the Bloodthirster. Again, Talon, right now, Pyke is holding items for Talon, which is a little bit wonky because, again, Pyke is a utility unit that deals physical. He deals magic damage. He has all these physical damage items. So it's pretty awkward having these on him, but it'll work for the time being. Seems to be okay, but I definitely could be doing better here. So anyway, just have to keep rolling here, and we're going to roll here on level 7 for quite a while. Now, I wasn't quite sure what to get for this last augment. It's not Mana Flow. I don't think I need Mana Generation. Climb the Ladder, maybe, because I do have a lot. This is kind of a vertical trait. It's definitely not Divine Zeal. I ended up taking Crown's Will just because I really wanted another Rod, and that sounds like kind of a sad reason to pick this up, but I really wanted another Rod. Anyway, I finally find a Kindred, and I'm going to turn Kindred into an Assassin because I think Kindred will actually be a really strong Assassin, and it's going to allow me to reroll for Kindred 3-star, and I'm really playing through different 3-star units. Anyway, I'm going to make a Ionic Spark for Cat, and then I'm going to look to make a Rage Blade over here, and then I have all these leftover items. I actually did get a Reforger, so I'm going to look to reforge some of these items as well. So I wanted to reforge 3 of these items. I wanted to keep 1 vest and reforge the others. So anyway, I'm going to put these on. But apparently I misclicked and I didn't get to reforge one of the vests. And I was like, oh... I got a Titans, which is a semi-useful item for me, but apparently I really wanted to reforge that other vest, and I guess it didn't go through. I guess I misclicked slightly, but anyway. Oh, well. So I have the 5 assassins in here. I really would like to get one more. As I said, I just need to find an Akali or a Talon. Talon would be better, but I'm expecting to find an Akali, and then that will let me play the 6 assassins, which is a big spike. But as I said, my board is really a 3-cost reroll board because I want to reroll for Cat 3-star, for Kindred 3-star, and then I can also roll for Yuumi 3-star. These are all 3-cost units. And then in theory, if I can get a Akali, I can also reroll for Akali 3-star. Now an Akali chosen shows up in the store, and of course she's an assassin because ninja trait can't be doubled. But I would have to sell my Katarina to play her, and I don't want to do that. So I was like, why couldn't you have just shown up as a normal unit there? Kind of frustrating. By the way, look at this person's board. They have a 3-star Veigar already. I was like, wait, what? They have 3-star Veigar? Yeah. I don't know how they hit this 3-star Veigar so early. I mean, I guess they just had some Veigars naturally, and then they had, they must have hit a Veigar chosen, and then they took the lesser champion duplicators. So they probably found like 2 or 3 Veigars naturally, and then they got the chosen, and then they got the duplicators. So I guess you can hit 3 stars relatively quickly sometimes. But yeah, Veigar's special ability is every time he kills an enemy unit, he gains 1 ability power. So this unit's going to be stacking at a very early date, and you can see he did 21,000 damage. I was like, oh god, I'm not going to beat that person anytime soon. That was certainly scary. Meanwhile, I've still got these really wonky items here, and I'm trying to sort this out. So it's been a bit of a mess here, largely because my items are so weird, and the fact that I cannot seem to find a Kali for no good reason. That said, there is another Katarina here, and I desperately need swords, so I'm going to take the Katarina here. I'm going to take the Katarina just to get another Katarina, and I'm going to prefer that over the Kale, even though Kale is a 4-cost and Katarina is a 3-cost. The Kale would sell for 1 more, but I actually just want another Katarina because that gets me closer to the Cat 3-star. All right, time to roll. Again, we're just rolling for we're rolling for our 3-cost units here. We're trying to 3-star them. The Yuumi I don't care as much about, but I do finally get a Talon. By the way, I still have not seen an Akali in this game yet, so okay. Now we're going to move all of these items over to Talon. I'm also going to make an Edge of Night for him, so Talon has very, very good items over here. I only have 1 Talon, but he's going to use these quite well. And the Zillion I do want to play, but I don't have enough slots for him right now, so I'm going to keep him on the bench. But again, this is why I had to have an Assassin chosen, because this lets me play 6 Assassin, 4 Spirit on level 7. If I did not have an Assassin chosen, I could not play this unless I went to level 8, and I want to be on level 7 to reroll for all this. By the way, look at this Galio back here. Can Kindred stay far enough away? Oh, so close. Kindred 2-star would have won that fight. One of the many, many people that are going cultist in this game. So I've talked about Assassin trait. Again, Assassins jump in the back line. They get critical strike chance and critical strike damage. What about the Spirit trait, though? Because that is the other trait I'm playing. Well, this is a trait that was unique to set 4. They've never had this in any other sets. And it's very overtuned right now in this current patch. So I'll read the description. The first time each Spirit unit casts, all allies gain attack speed. So whenever a Spirit unit casts for the first time, everybody gains attack speed. That is a team-wide benefit. It does not go only to Spirit units. Right now, Spirit 4 is 30%. Yeah, 30% extra attack speed, and there's 4 of those units. So if all 4 of them get their ability cast off, the entire team gains 120% attack speed, which is just wild. That it has that big of a benefit. And a lot of them have very low mana cost as well. Like Kindred's mana cost is... Let me just check their mana cost. I believe they're all pretty low. Let's see. Diana is 70. She takes the longest. Teemo is 60. Kindred is 40. And Yuumi is 40. Yeah. So 40, 40, 60, and 70. Like, that does not take a long time to get those ability casts off. And then whenever that happens, my whole team has 120% extra attack speed. So I was like, okay, that's pretty good. And by the way, you see the, if I finally get the Kindred 2-star, I went past an Aatrox, who is a cultist unit. What I would do ideally with this board is I need to stay here on level 7. I need to hit my 3-cost 3 stars. Again, I'm trying to do Yuumi plus Katarina plus Kindred. I want to try to 3-star all of them. And then ideally, I would go to level 8 and I'd play Zillion on level 8. And then if I could get to level 9, I'd play Aatrox on level 9 because that would put Cultist trait in play. But I don't know if I'm going to have time to get there. Normally, I would also be re-rolling for a Kali 3-star because she's another 3-cost unit, but I just have not seen her. There's the first one I've seen all game. So I was like, okay, what do I take out? Well, I can't take out the Diana because she's giving me Spirit. I can't take out the Katarina. She's my chosen. I don't want to take out Talon. He's the 4-cost unit. I just don't really have a place to fit her. The only unit that could come out would be Pyke. But I actually don't want to drop Pyke either because Pyke has a big stun. And like the utility of that stun is very, very valuable. And because I'm hitting Akali so late, I just don't really want to play her. By the way, look at this Zillion. Oh my god. Excuse me. I have to sneeze in the middle of this cast, unfortunately. Sorry about that. Oh, I sneezed all over that enemy team, apparently. Yeah, that cultist team was not prepared for me to jump on the back lines and just delete everything. But anyway, to get back to my previous point, I really don't need Akali. All she provides is damage, and I have enough damage on this board already. Like, Cat will do a lot of damage, Kindred will do a lot of damage, Talon will do a lot of damage. I don't need more damage on this comp. Having Pyke on there who can stun multiple members of the enemy team is just more valuable. In terms of their various abilities, Katarina's ability is her ult from League of Legends. When her mana bar fills up, she gets off a big Air of Effect ultimate that hits everything in range. Kindred hops around. They fire off bolts at low mana cost, fire off bolts, and then jump away. Kindred's had that ability in a couple different TFT sets. By the way, look at us murdering the backline yet again. You'd think people would like position so I can't do this, but so far they are not stopping me. Katarina got off a decent, if not great, ult. And then, what's my other one? Talon has kind of like an aggression drop. When his mana bar fills up, he hits a target and then jumps away and drops aggression and goes to another target. So he can be a little bit unreliable because sometimes he'll get close to killing something and then jump away. But he's, I mean, in a 6 assassin comp, he's going to be really strong. All right, now the only team I'm really paying attention to is that Veigar 3-star team being played by Ace Legend. That person's already level 9, and they have the 3-star, excuse me, the 3-star Veigar. So I was like, all right, I'm probably not winning this lobby, but like I'm going to continue following my plan. I'm going to continue to be patient here and just see if I can hit my 3 stars. And then, yeah, look at this. Someone typed, so Cultist is just broken. So here's the thing. Cultist is not broken. Cultist is an early game trait. This was the case back in the original version of the set, and it's still the case here in the set revival. Cultist is an early and mid-game trait. And it starts out really strong because the Galio is strong in the early game, but it falls off a cliff in the late game. And you have to pivot out of it in the late game unless you start getting like multiple cultist emblems. By the way, that's a Callista 3-star. Yeah, goodbye. Welcome to old school TFT where your carries can just get jumped on by assassins and die in 2 seconds. So yeah, that was a Callista 3, but she didn't get to do anything in that fight because I had my assassins positioned to jump on her and then they died in 2 seconds. But yeah, anyway, cultist trait, it's strong in the early game, falls off late game. And in fact, you're seeing a lot of these cultist boards are falling off pretty heavily right now because it's just not a late game trait. And by the way, that Veigar is continuing to murder everything. That player is, so Veigar's getting a ton of stacks, and the Veigar is level 9, that player is level 9, 50 gold. So they're obviously going to level 10. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. But the one chance I have in this game is, as strong as that Veigar is, if my assassins jump on top of the Veigar, he can die in 2 seconds. Like, we just saw Callista 3 die in an instant. So there is the potential for me to wipe out that unit. By the way, I would have loved that Infinity Edge, but of course that gets dropped. So you know what I'm going to take? None of this other stuff is good for me. It's all defensive items except a Rage Blade, which is a terrible item. On everyone except Kindred. Kindred uses Rage Blade pretty well. I'm going to take this. This is an Enlightened Emblem. And what Enlightened trait does is it increases mana generation. It's actually a lot like, what's the trait that gives mana in the current set? There's actually one that's kind of similar to it. Oh, there's Cat 3-star. I'm trying to remember which trait it is in set 13 does that. It's the one that Heimerdinger has. Oh, well, the name escapes me at the moment. Visionary, that's it. Visionary trait. It's very similar to that. It just increases mana. Where is the official? Enlightened champions generate more mana. Yeah, it's exactly the same thing as visionary trait. Enlightened champs generate more mana. So this is not a great item for an assassin-based team comp, but I'm going to put it on the Yuumi. Talon has enlightened trait, so I'm going to have, this is going to allow Talon to generate some more mana. And oh my god, look at us just annihilate the back lines. We jumped on top of that cluster of carries, and they just all died instantaneously. That person had a 3-star Vhagar, and we just knocked them out. By the way, that is not the person who is win streaking with the 3-star Vhagar. It was a different player who also had a 3-star Vhagar, but they did not box up in the corner against assassins, and we just annihilated everything there. So yeah, there's actually only 3 players left in the lobby now, and it's down to me, or no, 4 players. There's one person on 1 HP, excuse me. So yeah, it's down to just me and really this Vhagar player, and then a couple other people that are just kind of like clinging to life here. There's this other cultist player who has also has a 3-star Kalista. I guess that's the person I beat earlier. By the way, look at what this Vhagar player is doing. They've taken Vhagar off the board. I have no clue what they're doing. They pulled Vhagar off the board. So I don't know what kind of trolling this is. Like, they took their strongest unit off the board. I guess they're just kind of screwing around. I really don't know what they're doing. By the way, Talon, again, kills the 3-star Kalista in 1 instant. What this really shows is it's very important to put some kind of defensive item on your carries here. Yeah, this is old school TFT. Units can die incredibly fast, and positioning is like the king in these sets. You have to position so carefully to keep your units alive. So it's a really good idea to put a defensive item on your carries. Like that Kalista 3 would have been much better if she had had like, I don't know, Edge of Night or something on her. It doesn't feel like you should need that on your backline units, but in this set, you absolutely do. You need at least one defensive or healing item even on your carries, or else you get into all kinds of problems. And I'll talk more about that as we go on too. All right, so how close am I getting? I have the Katarina 3-star. You would expect to hit that first because she's the Chosen. I already had 3 of her from the Chosen. I'm now on 7 Yuumis and 6 Kindreds, and I'm going to continue to be patient here. I'm looking for the remaining units. I got a ton of gold there, so like we can keep looking. There's a Yuumi. So now I'm on 8 Yuumis. That's 8 Kindreds. So now I'm going to just roll for these because I'm on 8 and 8, and I will drop below the 50 gold threshold just to hit these because I'm so close. Come on, game. Come on. This is ridiculous. Come on. Give me the last one. I only need 1 more copy of each. There's also a Zillion, so I'll pull my emblem. By the way, there is an Infinity Edge here, which wouldn't be bad. So now I'm going to fill this up. There is finally the Kindred, and there's the Yuumi. All right, I just got them on the board in the nick of time. Maybe I should have done Infinity Edge just because it would have let somebody's damage... Infinity Edge probably would have been better on somebody here. But anyway, I ended up taking the Edge of Night, so that's an aggression drop. And we can put that on somebody. And if I was winning rounds before, now that I have 3-star Kindred and 3-star Yuumi, it's only going to be that much easier to win these rounds. So we're going to win and knock yet another cultist player out. That round was not particularly close. And now the Vhagar player has put their Vhagar back on the board. They're up against the Kalista 3. So they should win this. It's taking a while, but okay, they are going to win this one. And I'm going to skip the animation. I don't need to see the stupid animation there. But yeah, now it's going to be down to just me and this other player. And I think that they were very convinced that they were just going to win this lobby with ease. So anyway, I'm going to level. I'm going to put in the Zillion. And this will make Mystic trait for my board. Mystic, a really important trait in this set. I'll also go ahead and put the Edge of Night on... what did I do? I think I moved the... Yeah, I moved the Rage Blade over to Zillion because I want Zillion to get more casts off. I'm actually going to move the Enlightened Emblem over to Zillion as well. So now Zillion will have Enlightened trait and he'll get more mana generation. This is super important because I want Zillion to get more casts off. Zillion's ability is he puts his Chrono Shift on units, and when they die, they come back to life again. This is really important because it's going to allow units that get one-shotted by the Vhagar to survive and get more casts off. So that's my hope, is that Zillion will keep my units alive. And well, there goes Vhagar 3. Well, he went down pretty fast. This player went to level 10. They're actually level 10, 50 gold. I don't know what they're doing with all that money over there. But I don't know if they're trying to go for like a 3-star 4 cost or something. But they're not, like, if you look at their bench, they're not really that close. I guess they're trying to go for like 4-star A-Soul, 4-star Aurelian Soul. They're not really that close though. So my board, which is only level 8, and their board, which is level 10, 50 gold, or I guess they spent all their gold, but yeah, they're not really that close to 3-starring anything. I don't know, like, what are they doing with all this money over there? Well, in any case, we're going to continue to prioritize getting this Vhagar. I have all my main carry units over there on the right-hand side. So now can they manage to get on the Vhagar here? They have to cut through the back lines of the enemy team here first. But, oh my god, somebody crit the Vhagar. I saw a 1300 damage printout, and the Vhagar died in one hit. So, I will say one mistake that this other player did. They really needed a healing item on that Vhagar. That Vhagar does so much damage that if there's any healing item on the Vhagar, that unit will heal to full instantly. By the way, I think here the correct item to take was the Hand of Justice. That would have been really good on somebody. But instead, I just can't make up my mind about what to take, and I get a random tier. I'm actually going to put it on Zilean, even though Redemption is completely useless. And that's because he will get his ult off faster. Like, it just, the tier gives 15 mana, so that's going to cause Zilean to get his ult off faster. I just want him to ult before he dies in these fights so he can revive 2 units. And I will also pick up a Shen. Shen will give me another rank of Mystic trait. This enemy team's all magic damage, so Mystic trait gives your whole team magic resistance. So that's, I'm just trying to get as much MR as possible. All right, once again, we're going to be jumping in the back lines. You can see this person is correctly putting their Vhagar in the front row, where he's actually safer from the assassins. But if he had a healing item, oh, look at that. Cat manages to delete him with 1 spellcast. If the Vhagar had a healing item, he would heal to full every single time he ulted. So thank goodness he didn't put like a Gunblade or a Hand of Justice or even a Bloodthirster. Actually, the Bloodthirster would probably be even better, because then the Vhagar would get a shield. But Vhagar does so much damage that every single time he ults, he would go immediately back to full health again. So yeah, the fact that there's no healing item on that Vhagar is a massive mistake that this player has made. And they had so much money that and so many items, there's really no reason for them not to have gotten a healing item on there. So even though this other board, looks really strong in a lot of ways, they do only have 1 3-star, and it's not like they have a ton of 5 costs over there. My board of all these 3-star, 3 different 3-star assassins, plus the Talon, really is kind of mopping up the floor with them. All right, can we get on the Vhagar? Come on. Yep, there goes Vhagar. And Zilean did get his ult cast off, and that's enough to win. So I'm going to type GG like I always do, and look what this person types. No, it wasn't! I was literally laughing out loud when I saw that. I'm like, GG, and he's like, no, it wasn't! I think that person was absolutely convinced they were going to win the lobby, because they were like kind of messing around, taking their Vhagar 3 off the board, and like, that's a dangerous thing to do. My assassins, like, he was not able to protect his carry from my assassins, and you saw what happened, so GG. Anyway, this is a quick look at the set. I'm sure I'll do more videos. It's not balanced very well at all, but it's still kind of fun to play, so we'll get some entertainment out of this, I'm sure. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. Until next time, take care, folks. See you soon.